I got an APB on Mike. Where you at?
Michael, the West Brook.
You mean William?
Yeah. Gregory, the full name came out, man. What'd you do wrong?
Fortunately, I don't know his middle name, so.
Well, as you can tell, we're missing Mike. So, hello, everybody.
I'll have to ask his wife in Espanol, so that he doesn't know what we're saying. All right, on today's show, we will dig into the many recent iRacing forum discussions, get you up to speed on the second 2025 Season 2 patch. We'll see how your Sebring 12 hours went. We'll cover a ton of hardware topics and find out what an F1 driver thinks of the simulators and how young was young money when he started sim racing.
That's right, David. And remember that you can follow along with us on your PC or your mobile device in real time as you listen to the show and see for yourself all of the great topics and products we'll discuss by visiting iRacersLounge.com. Select the show notes. We hope to see you there.
All right, so the first announcement we actually have is that the Sim Racing Expo has scored an epic exhibitor. Okay, that they really worked hard on this one, and it's exciting to announce this, and we look forward to seeing us there.
Yeah, this one's has not been was no surprise, I guess.
Do you think I'll get an autograph?
Would you like one? I'll give you one.
Grab a sheet of paper, Greg. All right, I'll bring the Sharpies. For those of you who party too hard, I can't wait. I think it'll be Justin. Justin's going to end up with drawings all over his face at the end of the night.
Nah, this is cool. Again, we've been talking about this for really, I guess, a couple months. But yeah, so I've already booked flights, hotel. We're trying to get everything kind of nailed down, what we're going to do, and all the stuff we need. So super excited and can't wait to meet a bunch of listeners.
All right, let's travel back in time a little bit. We've got a picture of a very young money. All right, now the question is this actually Kyle Larson? Or is it just a meme?
I've
That's a
never
good question.
seen this before as a meme, so I'm guessing it's gotta be real.
Kind of looks like him.
Now, was Kyle Larson an innovator where back in the day we would be joking he's wearing a helmet for safety, but when Mike puts his belts on for the podcast, is it kind of like the same thing?
I think he was probably working to his neck muscles, build strength. Mike's just getting too old. He'll fall out of the rig.
Maybe we should have strapped him down so he showed up to the show.
Not a bad idea.
So it's 99, and this is an elementary age kid, maybe. I don't think preschool, probably 8 or 9.
Yeah, probably. So I don't know how. He's what, 30?
32. I think they said the other day he was 32.
All right, so 32.
Born in 92, he'd be 7 here.
Okay, that's about right. So 99, that looks like that's probably NASCAR. I guess it's probably NASCAR 99.
So I guess for our non-visual listeners, if that makes any sense, it's probably a picture of Kyle Larson sitting in an old school CRT monitor and PC, playing as an old racing game, wearing a helmet.
God, that brings back memories.
Yes, it does.
Every computer was the same color. They only had the same dull cream colored or whatever you call it.
No. So Sony it was like a light gray. It wasn't that cream color thing, but it was a nice gray. The Sony was it Vizio, something like that.
Could you imagine having the triple monitors in the old CRT days?
Talk about bezels.
Oh, you got 6 inches of bezels in the way.
Now, my question is, could you imagine going back and telling this person that we're going to run our computers, we can run them with liquid inside them to keep them cool?
I almost need to because I'm having climate control issues in my room because my computer is pumping out so much heat. But we'll move on. So Lando Norris is talking about the necessity of simulators in a TikTok.
Yeah, this is a pretty neat video. So just kind of walks through the, what you need to do, if you're going to get to the top level and, staying, just kind of for staying, I don't want to say fresh, but just staying, what's the word I'm looking for?
Repetitions, man.
Yes, there you go.
There you go.
It's all about the reps, right? I was listening to I don't remember where I heard this, but somebody was complaining about the work smarter, not harder phrase as being wrong. I don't remember if that was on a racing podcast or a science podcast, but somebody brought up that statement is actually kind of wrong because it really has to be a little bit of both. I mean, you can waste a lot of time if you're not practicing smartly, but it still takes lots of hours to master something.
Yeah, he went over a couple things that's important. Obviously, the off season, but it's important for these young guys too that haven't raced to these tracks before, don't have a lot of time on them because they don't get a lot of time on them. I think I read somewhere where Lawson had never been to China before they went, and I don't think the simulator might not have helped apparently, but
both tracks that Liam Lawson raced on this year so far in F1, he has never previously raced on.
Yeah, so can you imagine if he didn't have it?
Now he's going to the track he had the most experience on, and he's been already switched into another ride.
Well, I mean, we've talked before that the entire racing in general has just gone to using a lot of simulation. On the NASCAR side, that's all the testing is now. You cannot go test anywhere else. But even from the IMSA side to even some of the other stuff, even the IMSA, I mean, there's still quite a bit of testing there, but even they're using simulation quite a bit. The NASCAR side has just gotten just huge. I mean, Ford, Toyota, Chevrolet all have their own simulators, and was listening to a podcast today, and Parker Klickerman's, and they had Sam Mayer on there, and he was discussing the differences because he came from Chevrolet and now he's with Ford, and then talking about some of the differences just on the Xfinity side of the simulator, Chevrolet versus the Ford. So it's you're doing all the prep work on the NASCAR side. Everything they do in the sim is set up to when they roll off the truck, just because you're not changing a whole lot of stuff anymore. So it's just becoming even more and more important.
Tell you what, it's a good thing they're saving all that money and not testing.
They spend the same amount of money, just they stick it in other places.
Yes, that was sarcasm.
I know, that's what race teams do.
Speaking of NASCARsmen, I always, my dyslexia kicks in every time I see this guy's name and it says NASCAR man. I literally see NAS sarcasm a lot of times when I look at his. Yeah. So I guess it's almost supposed to be sarcastic, but those letters literally I've misread it all the time. But March 20th, 2020, we got a little COVID flashback. This was the first iRacing Pro Invitational that was held during the pandemic. Denny Hamlin beat Dale Jr. on the last lap to win at Homestead, and 900,000 viewers watched the broadcast on TV, making it the most widely watched esports event on US TV at the time.
And so iRacing started becoming crazy popular, and subscriptions went up and up and up for the next year or so, 2 years.
You mean subscriptions? Nobody's subscription went up.
No, sorry, the subscriptions count.
Numbers, not price.
There you go. But yeah, I remember watching that one because that was Denny ran, or Junior was trying to pass Denny on the low line, and Denny ran the wall, and just beat him off the corner on the last lap there.
So I can remember being at the house and this came on. Now, understand that I had not been on the service since 2016. And I think got about halfway through watching this and turned it off because I was like, oh, this sucks. I can see it. I'd avoided everything to do with sim racing since I sold all my stuff and I couldn't sim race. So I'd avoided it completely. Got it out of all my feed and everything, for quite a few years. And then saw this and was like, yep, turning it off because it just got the itch going and there was nothing I could do back then.
So COVID gave you the disease of racing now again?
No, it's where we were. We had no internet, so there was no way. Yeah, we had no high speed internet. There was no way for me to even think about trying to do sim racing.
All right, this next news item almost need Mike around, but he runs the F4, doesn't he? This is a post about the regional F4 series, and it's complaining that there was an Asian race run on Asian servers with no Asian drivers, and that's essentially means everybody's racing with a really high ping. And you look at the pings, and they're all in the yellow and red.
Could you imagine the replay file difference between car to car would be so bad in that?
Well, so I mean, I understand the premise of trying to do regional stuff, but I mean, this is the downfall of it. If you don't have people in that region that are going to race, someone else is going to race, but it just kind of completely defeats the purpose of having a regional series. I mean, I can remember, years ago there was always the attempt of some competition between the clubs. So you had club points and stuff like that, and that was interesting for a while. But yeah, it's pretty pitiful when you've got an Asian series and there's not a single person from Asia running in it.
Well, I guess it's just not popular with them. I'm curious what the Asian subscription numbers are, because I really just don't see. I see the occasional Japanese name, but I very rarely race with many Asians ever on any of the servers. I don't know if that's because we just do sports cars and stock cars, but just don't see them that often.
Well, at peak time would be right in the middle of the night here, so I can imagine that has something to do with it. Hey, we've got two things here. One, we can debate if having these regional series is good for splits and health and all that. And that's one thing. We've talked about that in other series too. But secondly, my man, you joined an Asian regional race. Did you expect anything different? Like I don't get it.
Well, I guess he would expect to maybe see some guys from Asia racing.
Yeah, that's his point. Is that like nobody in the race was from Asia?
Wonder how many splits.
Well, he didn't. We can't see the I rating with that screenshot. So, but it only takes 17 cars. So, but is this a really popular series? Is it having large numbers, like hundreds of people?
I can go look that up right quick with our fancy new UI.
All right. So we'll come back to that once you find it. Let us know. We'll move on to the next topic, which is rumors for season 3. So go ahead and run over some of these for us, Brad.
Yeah, so nothing right now confirmed, but implied we've got hopefully the NASCAR Cup Series Gen 4. This has kind of been dragging for, I guess, a couple builds now. I think a lot of us really thought we would have had it this build, but not yet. More NASCAR track updates. Continue talk of the new Sim UI. The customizable UI. I guess they kind of said there were some stuff that was getting pretty close, but just missed it. Again, GTP hybrid system. So hopefully that's going to come maybe in season 3. And then some of the track talk that's been discussed, Miami International Autodrome, possible IndyCar updates, future NASCAR Cup updates. They did say that they had sent a scan team to Mexico to grab Autodroma Hermanos Rodriguez. And then again, continuing career mode continues to be talked about, the new graphics engine, which I'm sure that's probably still years away. Future tire model updates. So, Adelaide street circuit, just kind of the normal stuff that just kind of gets dropped here or there. Guys just kind of throw it in there and we'll see what we get.
I was going to say the new graphics engine probably, instead of having the soon clock, it's just going to say future clock. It's going to say future on all the hands.
I really wish there was something about the stewardship on the oval side, because they rumored that at some point, didn't they? But does it need work? Just how the yellow flags work and getting everybody lined up.
Yeah, well, they said they were going to start to invest some people into race control, but like we talk about in almost every NIS race or any oval race we do, sometimes I just think it's almost, I don't know if they know how to fix it. It's been going on for so long. If they knew how to fix it, you'd have thought that they could have done something by now.
So there's a couple of things that need. I just need to make a manifesto of things to fix under caution. Because first, the pace car, and I saw it happen once. I think I think it was at a Richmond race. The pace car should wait until the leader is coming around turn 3 or 4 before it starts going. And that's some of the problems happen. Some of the problems happen because of that. Because if a caution comes out when the leader is in turn 1, the leader passes him and has to race all the way back around. And sometimes we literally have green flag stops under yellow because nobody has a chance to get caught up, especially the people who probably had to stop or were involved in the accident, right? So that would fix a big problem. Just make the pace car wait on the leader.
Well, I think the biggest problem is with what you're saying there, David. I have a feeling if they all of a sudden try doing that, they're going to break it somehow, or we're going to have that problem where pace car doesn't come out at the proper time or doesn't come out at all again, like we had a couple back then. But why do we have to go into the pits the first lap right away? Like, I know this is going back because we wanted shorter cautions and stuff too. Like, could he not go around one time before you go into the pits? It would make it longer then again. It defeats the purpose of what we did.
But I would definitely take an extra pace lap just to get the field tightened up before we pit it. That's to me that would be the easiest fix to some of that, would be just to delay the opening of pit road.
That's a really good idea.
All right, so let's add that to David's manifesto.
Then the other thing is just fix it where when a car comes out of the pits fixing all its damage, it comes out right in front of the pace car, that he just gets in line where he is instead of getting to pass all the penalty cars.
How about he doesn't allowed to actually merge until he gets to the actual exit onto the track where it should be? He's like all the way down to the blue cone. What is it? It's a blue cone, right? Yeah, at the end. That should be where he gets scored.
Yeah, that might help a little, but even if he doesn't, the lucky dog is already sitting up with the pack, okay? And then when he comes out of the pits, he can be half a lap behind the lucky dog, and right as we're coming to the green flag, the lucky dog will get screamed at by the race control before he has any time to do anything about it, to let the guy by and get popped with a black flag.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
And I mean, we had a guy that was just making sure, and I supported him, and it was ticking other people off, but he was stopping every time because twice he got black flags because of people not catching up to the field because they were fixing accidents. And, so when they come out late, just make it not punish guys for those guys coming out late.
I really think the option that Greg said, if you added a lap or two before the pits open, I think that would really fix a lot of the issues.
Because everybody could get sorted out after the wreck, because it takes forever for guys to sort themselves out after the wreck, too. Because there's the other problem, I'm sure, that would be in Dave's manifesto is, why does it give the cars that were in the wreck their spots back?
Yeah,
no, wait,
it would fix a lot of them. It'd fix a lot of them.
I'm coming in late. I just want to ask, make sure I understand what's happening. We're looking at the patch 2 release notes, and all this stuff you're talking about. Did they fix it?
No. We're talking about our wish list.
Season 3 build
rumors.
See, Mike, we voted on you not being part of the podcast anymore because you didn't show up on time, like one time.
No, the third
The
part of my
time zone got me
manifesto.
again.
The third part of my manifesto.
I
stand
called
by.
it.
Mike, Greg called it. The third
Yeah,
part
I
of my
thought we started
manifesto.
30 minutes from now.
On the next patch, they need to come up with a fix for Mike's time zone problem.
I have a fix. Don't fucking change it. Sorry for swearing.
Congress would have to fix that.
All right, so season 3 build rumors. There you go. All right, this next one, I remember this happening the other night. There was something going on with the downloader. They worked on it, and I think it's back up now. But Trading Paints had some issues for a little bit the other night.
Hey, sorry. I was trying to get before. Can we back up one sec there, David, to one of the topics in that build?
Go.
Or sorry, future build stuff. Why do you guys think it's taken so long to get this Gen 4 Cup car? We got the Legends pretty quickly after they got scanned. Any of the other cars get turned around pretty quick. Why do you think this scan's taking so long to get done?
Good point. I mean, it's been in works for a long time, right?
Well,
Like a year.
If you look at it, it's over. It's almost a year when it was first mentioned in May, right? No, sorry, that's a graphics engine. What was the thing? It's at the top.
Now, the only contributing factor I can think of is that the Gen 4 was kind of an accident almost, right? And so maybe that they weren't as ready to do it as some of the other options.
I mean,
and that's complete conjecture.
The other thing too, David, is there's different body or different configurations of the car that they've had to scan multiple versions of. If you read through this of each thing that they've scanned, I get it. And maybe they're trying to just maybe they really want this car to be something special too, like, and make sure that it's right when they're going to bring it in here to make them feel different between the different body styles too.
Yeah,
well, I guess a lot.
It says, to speedway, super speedway variants, both in terms of physics and the actual car model. So again, there's, and that's pretty. I don't know if we really ever got anything like that as it is now. There's not outside of what the Indy car. You probably have different variants.
Yeah, you have the road and the oval version. A lot of people also kind of consider this the golden age of the NASCAR car. So
yeah,
they probably want to really get it right.
These I'm just trying to think back. These aren't the speedway cars that had the wicker on the top, was it?
I
want to.
No,
it's not that generation, was it?
No, that's like probably 06, 07, somewhere in that area. No. Wickers were, heck, Dale Earnhardt was still around when they started running the Wicker bills. So that would have been 99, 2000.
So that was before.
Right.
Okay. Anyway,
before we move on, Will, do you have any update on the stats?
So I do. It averages 2 splits, so not awful, I guess, compared to some of the other theaters I've heard about. And of the top 20 in standings, we have 14 Europeans, 5 Japanese people, and 1 Australian. So who knows? I guess there's just not a whole lot of on the Asian side of the world for sim racing.
So, Mike, we were talking about the F4 series, the regional, and how they split everything up. But I guess we've only got 14 Asians that like the F4 series.
Well, I see the same thing at the Americans, at the America regionals. Like, I'm one of the only American guys in there lots of times, representing, of course, but it is kind of, yeah, why are we doing this? I mean, it's just because it's that tracks, I don't know. I don't get it.
All right. Well, the Trading Paints thing was a quick hit. They just had some issues. They had to revert an update that they made. There was some kind of DNS issue, but it's back up.
Yeah, I just always find it's interesting how everybody loses their mind when something doesn't work for a day.
Yeah, I hope that we'll be screwed if we ever get hit by the EMP or whatever. All right, so a lot of people, if that happened, would be having a lot of issues with network connectivity, wouldn't they, Brad?
Yeah. So I put a post in the forum just asking about the network quality rule. So if everybody remembers, this was touted in the season 2 patch that was going to be implemented. They did say it would be used sparingly, but if you say you're going to implement something, even if you say it sparingly, I would tend to think that you'd actually implement it. But I cannot find a single series where this has been implemented yet. That was my confusion, and that's why I made a post on the forum.
I wonder if
Is there an answer?
my best guess is they're just trying to gather data and see how it's working first before they start kicking people out of races.
How can you gather data if you don't kick anybody out of a race?
No,
Because they're still getting fed information on who's having the connection issues and who would get kicked out. So they might be trying to tweak the sensitivity, right?
what would have happened in that Asian server then?
There would have been the podium finishers would have been the only ones with a ping under 300.
Who's the pace car driver? Because that's probably the only one that's gonna win.
I don't know. My frustration is that this was. I mean, you go back and you read the the blog, you read everything, and it was like, hey, this is coming. And I get it that it said it would be done on select series, but I don't know. It's just I nothing. Crickets. Absolute crickets.
Yeah, I'm not sure why you wouldn't. If that's what you're doing, that's what most of the responses to you in the forum seem to be. Is people think they're just waiting to implement it to gather data and make sure it's working. But if that's the case, then why not say that? Why make a whole feature about it in the patch notes and then not use it?
I don't know. I guess they're worried about everybody showing up with pitchforks.
Well, you wonder if some executive overruled this, like, oh no, we can't have people getting disconnected, our paying folk.
Here's an idea: just make their motor blow up, and then it blew up, and then that's automatically out of the race when they have bad network.
I like that.
Well, I mean, so just I don't want to jump ahead, but I had a connectivity issue in our Sebring race, and I get the little warnings, and I'm like, all right, let me try to get back to the pits because I'm assuming that I'm going to get parked at some point. No, never. I just end up getting dropped. So that's what really kind of spurred me to do this. I'm like, well, it's obviously this is not even set up anywhere.
Well, now that you mentioned Sebring, that brings up the next topic. We had the Sebring this weekend. So, William, tell us about the winners in the top split.
Let's see. iRacing made a is this Instagram? Yeah, Instagram post. Or no, this is VCO Esports, the sponsors of it. Made an Instagram post celebrating the top split winners. GTP was Drago Racing number 1, LMP2 was gridandgo.com number 2, and GTD was Drago Racing number 6.
Yeah, 1.3 million laps and 5 million miles at Sebring.
14,164 drivers. Anybody remember what the Daytona numbers were? Just out of curiosity. 20,000 something?
24.
24, I think, yeah.
City, 14. That's still pretty good, I think.
You see how the events start trickling off as the year goes down because you'll get the summer lull eventually here too.
Well, it's not just that. The 24 is the pinnacle, other than maybe the Le Mans that used to be close. But the 24 is the one that all the stock car drivers also come and run, right? But both here and they used to run it a lot in real life, though. They haven't been much lately. I don't really see at the 24. There were not that many NASCAR guys there this year.
I mean, Daytona's Daytona. It's a draw, right? Like you're always going to have more participation there. Even though I love Sebring, it's Daytona, so it's always more.
We're only a couple years away from getting Le Mans back. Let's hope that WEC doesn't sign that contract again.
With an extinct company? I don't understand how they still have the contract when they're basically extinct.
They're not extinct.
They're okay on that side. Because their game's actually still doing okay.
Yeah, LMU.
I looked it up. Compared to 2024, we gained 2,000 drivers and 1 million miles driven.
I personally, I prefer Sebring over Daytona. I know there's the the majesty of Daytona and all that stuff. But when it comes to just the track and the amount of I guess the stress is a little bit more at Sebring. There's so much easier ways to screw up at Sebring.
It's more technical track.
Yeah,
I have a lot more success there actually. It just suits me, and it suited me even better with the new build. We'll talk about more, I guess, that more later when we get into results.
Yep.
All right. So Mike posted this, and I know that this was also the case in open races. The current A fixed race is 55 laps, and the B fixed is 70 laps.
Wait,
And
isn't it the A supposed to be like the premier? And normally that's the longer race. I mean, why are these backwards?
No, they're going by horsepower rating in the cars now.
pretty much,
Ouch.
yeah, because the B car runs faster, so it takes more time to complete the race
I think
or more laps.
I think the overarching thing here is you've got so A open or A fixed is just a regular 12-week series, but I believe the B and the C goes along with the B and C Open that runs the full course of the year, same way that NIS does. So that would be my guess as to why there's the difference there.
But has this been happening all year, or is Martinsville the first time? And by the way, this is not the first time this has happened. When some people were talking about it in the race lobby and said that it was this way last year too.
Okay, so these are the Martins. I thought this was for another race track. This is Martinsville's laps?
Yeah.
Ooh, 55 laps in the A car. Well, I mean, it's all caution, so it doesn't matter.
35 of them are caution.
Yeah, I mean A Open is 110 laps, so
the fix is half of what the opens are.
I guess I don't ever run fixed, so
Or maybe this was a different track. I wasn't doing the math, but the same thing happened at Martinsville.
It's posted on the week of Martinsville, so I would guess it's probably Martinsville.
All right, who wants to take this next one? It looks a little Smurfy.
Well-
There was. Go ahead, Mike.
All right, no worries. Yeah, this guy got a forum post basically to highlight a Reddit post where there was a discussion about iRacing is smurfing killing special events is the question. And it's a pretty good discussion. I thought we'd bring it up here as well and see what you guys think. Is this a problem in special events? I mean, I don't run enough of the special events to see a problem, but for those people that are doing all of them, is it?
So is smurfing is creating a second account? Is that what they're saying here?
Right. You're an alien. You're at 6,000 I rating, and you make a second account so you can be in a lower split and win races.
Right.
I think that's what it is.
Bravo! You spent extra money to prove that you won a virtual race. You were the grand champion of iRacing by winning a lower split.
I mean, how is that the end result? What's the difference between that and tanking? There's no difference.
And they don't do shit about tanking to begin anyway.
If tanking's not allowed, then
But why is iRacing going to do anything about
tanking is allowed. It's in the sporting code, but they don't enforce it.
They're not going to do anything about it. They get free money out of this unless they're using a free monthly pass to do the special event.
Yeah, not everybody that Smurfs does it so that they can get in a slower split. A lot of them, they have an account that they need to keep their I rating high so they can be in the professional series, and they want to be able to run other races just for fun without losing 150 I rating. So a lot of them, that's the reason that they Smurf. They're not trying to tank. But we had a guy last year that won one of the divisions in NIS, and we protested him for tanking, and he still got to win the division. And he clearly should not. He should have been in my division, and he was down in somebody else's. And you can see a visual dip, and they didn't do shit about it.
There's literally a guy that Mike and I race on the road courses. We're not going to use his name. That he always seems to have the same I rating every time it comes up to a road course event. Yet he's really good at road course racing and blows us out in a race. But Yet he still has the same rating every time we come to an NIS road race.
Yeah, but his rating is stable, so he's losing it in other types of events.
Yeah, does he just suck at oval?
No,
No, it's
he
the
doesn't-
road rating.
He doesn't race.
Okay.
He doesn't race oval at all. He only comes for the
Gotcha.
NASCAR ones.
But to Greg's point, he he whips our ass. I mean, he's really good. So you would think his I rating would climb as he's racing other stuff, and then he comes back into our series. He's in a higher split. No, he's not. He's in the same I rating he's always shows up in. So how does that work?
I don't know, but to me the smurfing it's no different than tanking. It's the spirit of the rule. The whole purpose of iRacing is to place you in a split with like drivers. That's the whole purpose of iRating. I mean, that's the selling point of it. Is I'm going to race people that are of like skill every time I get on the system. Correct?
Is there a way, Brad, to go what you're saying? Is there a way to tell if people have two accounts? Like, obviously, they're using the credit card name. Would it just have They would just have a number beside it if they open another account, right?
Yeah, but okay. So let's go back to when we've had discussions about people being parked for 2 weeks and they block the IP address, and there's two guys. The guy that the roommate can't now race because the IP's been blocked. Well, to me, that's no different. If I don't know, it's not. I don't like it. I mean, there used to be. It was looked down upon years ago for someone to have a secondary account, and now it doesn't seem to be an issue anymore. And maybe it's a money issue. I don't know.
I mean, they're getting revenue off of it no matter what, so that's probably why. But so, what do you say? Do you think we should be able to lock? You get one account and that's it.
Maybe for specials. Maybe say that you have to declare a primary for specials.
Yeah,
But then they could just play. They could just only. They could still abuse that though. I kind of agree that it sucks, but again, they're not going to do anything about it. They just like they wouldn't do anything about the tanking.
What's a monthly? What's it per month for iRacing right now?
If you're buying a year at a time, it's like $8 to $9.
I think monthly is $10 or something, $12.
Okay, so he's got to. So if you have, say, you do all the special events like on the roadside, and you do it, you have to buy the car that you want to race each month that you want to race, and each track that you have to do. So they're getting probably, I don't know, ballpark if you do it a full season, an extra $100 to $200 in revenue from an extra account just to run special events if they do this type of thing.
Now I want to digress a little bit into the details of this particular op on this particular post. He details a particular team, and each driver on the team is running in a second account, and each and every instance of each driver, it's a lower I rating. One guy was a 9,000 down to a 7,440. Another guy was a 6,700 down to a 5,000. Another guy was 7,600 to 6,400. So, and then he even puts a protest snippet of the protest where iRacing wrote, "Thank you for your response. Each rating these drivers are using are in the top 1% of the service. We see no violation in this case. Good luck."
I mean, I gotta agree with iRacing there.
Yeah, the ones you listed didn't sound pretty egregious. There's a different one though. An example that he has a guy with 6,490, and on March 15th, he created 6 days before Sebring, he created a new account and ran Sebring on that account at 1.8K and ran away with the race. So that's effectively the same as tanking, I think. That there is a little bit of.
So he can't start a second account and just build it up. I mean, you got to race at some point after you start the account, right?
Yeah.
Well, you know what? You know what's actually would make this a lot. If you wouldn't have the easy progression system to get your freaking license, and you have to do season by season to get it, it wouldn't be it deterred a little bit. Once you have it, you're probably fine in your account, but you'd have to have like 4 seasons of account to get to move your license up
Yeah,
to do it.
the specials only require a C license.
Okay, so you have 2,
but
then
it
you
would
got
still
2.
take them half a year
Yeah, so
I
to bring. So yeah, that would definitely solve this. But again, that's going to take money out of iRacing's account.
Yeah, I'm just too cheap to give them extra money. I give them enough money as it is. But to think about that, to pay for an extra subscription
I
to
just,
extra tracks, car, screw that. Absolutely not.
you know what it just speaks of though, like how bad, like not how bad, like how low of a person do you have to be to, you know what, I feel good because I, went down in a lot of rating and I went and raced in a different split that I was probably never going to be in, and I won. Great satisfaction because I won a thing, but what does it mean to you? It's just a virtual event. Like, great, good for you.
All right. Well, the horse is dead. So let's fix the body panels instead of fixing the horse. What is this about the panels on the next gen car, Brad?
Yeah, so we got a forum post here from Eric Scherer. So one of the body panels on the next gens, and I noticed this when I got back on the service, started painting. You can see actually all the separation, the lines between each of the individual panels. But when you look at an actual cup car, when they get the wraps, that body panel is just smoothed over. It's not. They're not taking, they're putting the wrap on. They're not going back and they're not creasing all of those lines like we've got it on the actual car model. So yeah, it will look a lot better. So did get a follow-up post from Michael Hinkle, staff member, says, thanks for your feedback. We've asked the art team to take a look at this. So for those of us that do enjoy painting and looking at things, this was kind of it's one of those things that's been like, that just looks ugly. So
you're not allowed, if they fix this, Brad, you're not allowed to say you're a painter, you're a rapper. Because it's gonna make it smooth. Like, so we're gonna bring into the new technology. They used to paint cars. Now you're gonna wrap on trading paints. So it's wrapping paints. We're gonna have a new site, wrapping paints.
Title idea.
Or trading wraps.
Here you go. Not title idea. I've got a name idea. Brad's name is going to be Lil Gargamel. All right, we did have a patch for season 2. What happened on this one, William?
Hey, I'll read the right notes this time, guys. So we had a small patch today, I believe, that fixed some stuff from the season 2 build. The main thing was graphic stuff. They turned down the solar flare a little bit. I haven't been on the system yet to see how much better it is, but they say they turned it down. Some more graphical improvements, mostly just to do with lighting. The rain, the black rain, the smoke like rain at night should be fixed. Couple trees. They fixed the debris that me and Brad talked about that we just couldn't see.
It's not there.
Yeah, it's just gone. So supposedly that's fixed. We'll see. I know me and Brad talked about it a lot during the 12-hour. We get the debris flag and it's just not on the track. You can't see it flying in the air either. So that was really weird. Some other small stuff with cars, mostly just glitches and stuff that came from the previous build. A lot of racetracks. Small stuff like moving flagpoles and stuff like that you normally get after a season patch.
I like the last ones here. Like, fixed an issue with some skid marks with yearly lighting would eerily glow in the dark. I wanted to see what that would have looked like.
Yeah, as I knew was coming. So the ARCA cars, they you're going to get the mandatory manufacturer stamps. So as I told Bobby when that got released, I was like, how long is it going to take before this happens? Because as soon as you start seeing everybody painting fictional ARCA cars, knew it was coming at some point. So those are now stamped on the car. So you're going to have Toyota, Chevy, and Ford.
But I want my Dodge.
I was going to say, the amount of different cars that came out the first day was ridiculous.
Yeah, it's just a given.
All right, why are instant messages a part of the chat function? And this is sort of a asked and answered question. This iRacing member Taurus Valsberg said that when he disables chat messages, he also loses his instant messages. However, some of the repliers showed him where you can change your settings in INI files to where you only see the instant messages but don't have to see chat.
Started thinking about this, and this is not a good design. I mean, why is it in the chat? It should be its own thing. Okay. Why is it piggybacked into the chat channel? So if the chat channel gets muted, whatever, turned off, you're going to miss it unless you go, into an app INI file, which you shouldn't have to do. So I would say they just need the incidents separate out of the chat.
Help me out. What's an incident message?
It's
You get a 4X. Where do you see it?
4X.
Okay, so
when you turn the chat off, that whole bar goes away. It'll never come up.
So you're talking about
unless you do the INI,
the in chat. Okay, so
like if somebody types at the top.
When you get a notification,
the text chat, not voice chat.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess that's where I was getting confused.
When you get an incident, it's basically sending you a text message.
Correct.
Through the team chat or the race control, really.
Look, that might have been a good idea when they made iRacing 12 years ago. Like, okay, how are we going to, let them know they have an incident? Oh, we'll just piggyback it into the chat. It's time, iRacing, to pull this out of the chat and do it as a separate thing, just like the spotter message is separate. Just have it on the screen separate from the chat. It seems simple.
Mike, do you think, I don't know how much of the discussion you heard of, you came in late with David's notes. Do you wonder if some of this coding, the way that they've done it this way with the chat, is like the coding that they did with the cautions? It's something they've done for so long, trying to split it all up and get everything.
You can never fix it.
It's just too far gone.
Maybe.
I mean, I don't know. I don't have chat disabled because I think that there's times I want to see what's going on, and chat is not as bad as it used to be years ago. I mean, years ago it used to be really bad. I don't see where chat is used really
David
that
has
often
to use it a lot
anymore.
because he gets his actual chat banned.
That's a terrible joke, Greg, because if you get chat banned, you also can't type.
I'm kidding.
So if you're going to try to rag me, you at least got to be accurate.
Well, I'm glad you know with how many times you've had chat bans.
Yes, I'm aware of this. How many times? I think twice, actually.
I mean, if there's a option in the INI to fix it, it seems like it'd be simple enough to make it part of the user interface.
That's always been the issue. That there's tons of graphics things that I go into the INI to adjust that you can't do in the UI. It's always been that way. I mean, even go back to the Papyrus days, it was the same way. There was always an INI edit that you could make that, and I don't know why I don't know. I mean, I guess you'd have under options for graphics options, you probably have 75 different options. Maybe that's why.
I mean, jumping ahead a little bit in the script, when the UI refresh comes in, do we think we get anything extra like this?
No.
Hopeful. I mean, come on.
Still dig it out of the UI. Or dig it out of the INI.
All right. So we kind of already hit on this. No decals for you. So the new car templates, you can't change the manufacturers anymore, essentially.
Well, so this is a forum post, and then Brian Simpson, who's in charge of the artwork, just kind of a weird one. So says, "This is on me at the end of the day. So I apologize for those of you who spent time doing this. There was a miscommunication on what could be done legally, and I thought we could allow these cars more latitude than we could set expectations. Very few cars in the future will be editable. As far as manufacturer licenses keep getting tighter and tighter, and allowing people to edit things like this just isn't allowed much anymore." Why it should not be allowed. I mean, it gets them into trouble every time they've tried this.
They didn't learn their lesson on the Mercedes, that it has to only be the Mercedes.
Well, I mean, I get it. I mean, I get it with the stock, with the like the late model. Okay, it's one body for everything. So I understand. But any body that is specific to a manufacturer, why is the manufacturer going to allow you to do it if you're going to be able to turn it into whatever you wanted to turn it into? I mean, I would have thought they learned this 100 years ago when, some of the Pappy games, when they didn't have the manufacturer support, we ended up with the generic cars, and then everybody
hated those.
Yes, and then everybody just turned them into what they were, but they were all generic cars, and I don't know, that was either maybe NASCAR 99 when it first came out or something.
And
I don't know which one it was.
did it too when EA got the license as well.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's move on to some of the event results. Mike Wilson grabs his third win of the year.
He does. Richmond International Raceway at the Coke Series. I watched some of this. Pretty eventful. Lots of carnage and different things. But man, Steven Wilson wins 3 out of 4 races so far this year. He's literally on fire.
The only Spire team that's going to win this year.
Stop it. Hosemar's going to grab one.
He's not going to win in a 77 car.
But there is Talladega.
So, somebody said, I think maybe it was either Tuesday night or Wednesday night. It's either A Open or NIS. But, why doesn't the Coke Series run here? And I felt like saying they can't even handle Richmond. Can you imagine the Coke Series at Martinsville?
You know what? I bet you they put on a good race. They would probably put on a good race there, though.
Well, they've got the rule where if they have cause a quick caution, they have to go single file.
I don't know.
We almost need that.
I didn't get a chance to watch the race. I saw some of the social media afterwards, and it was the same. Every time we're at a short track, it's just, it's the same comments. It's no different than the regular servers. I mean, it's why short tracks are so difficult on iRacing. I will never understand. 3, 4, and sometimes 5 wide at Richmond. It was crazy. Yeah, there were times after the restarts where they just get 3, 4 wide, and at some point, it funnels down to 4 wide, and somebody gets hung out.
Well, there's the difference is that from this in real life racing is that you don't feel the impact, and you also don't have the guy waiting for you in your pit stall afterwards if you've pissed him off too much, right? So there's just not the same sense of consequence for racing too tight or driving it in too hard.
A notable mention, Zach Novak, 54 laps led. He was the class for the field early, but yeah, he didn't get it done when it needed to be done. But yeah, Parker White up there like normal. Vicente Salas there in 4th. Donovan Strauss 5th.
So in the standings, Steven has 3 of the wins, with Cullen Keister having the other win. And then Parker White, Zach Novak, and Tucker Minner are rounding out the top 5 in the overall standings. Parker White is actually the segment 1 point leader. So he's been a little bit more consistent than Wilson. I guess that means Wilson's one not win must have been a pretty bad finish.
Internet connection. DQ'd him. Or
oh, yeah, that's right. He did. He lost connection.
He would have been 4 for 4.
All right. How about virtual to reality? Tell us a little about this one, William.
Yeah, so I did not even know about this until we put it in the script. The Prodigy Racing League, which is a league, you see it on the official client sometimes. It does a lot of sim to reality stuff. They are doing a virtual to reality series, Prodigy Pass series. So they're doing it in local sim centers. So they have a list of sim centers you can go to and qualify, and I assume wasn't able to find the format, but you go there and you run some qualifying laps, and you get a shot to compete in the final. And the grand prize, it looks like, is going to be a ride in a real race car. The car they got on the flyer looks like a Radical.
So the lesson is here. Sorry, is don't live in a non-city area.
Place, yeah. So the track's Road Atlanta in the Porsche GT3. I might actually try this because one of these sim centers they list that I didn't even know was there. It's probably about 20 minutes from my house, so that might be a thing to go try.
There's one in Virginia.
Yeah, but it's in Manassas. That's Northern Virginia.
And it looks like the track that you actually are going to get to take the real car out on is Atlanta Motorsports Park, which is also very close to my house. So might be a good thing for me.
So
How far is Manassas for you?
for me? About 3 hours.
See, I don't see anything that's closer than 8 hours for me.
Yeah. So, William, you're close to Peachtree Corners.
Peachtree Corners, yep.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Pretty neat
gonna-
idea.
I'm not going to comment what the closest one to me is.
So this
It's
was
probably
a
not actually
listener.
Alberta.
Listener sent this in. The guy who's organizing it, I think it was, and hey, I told him we'd put it on here and talk about it. So get out to your local sim center. I'm going to rattle off the city states real quick: Berkeley, Michigan; Manassas, Virginia; San Ramon, California; Cary, North Carolina; Winston-Salem, North Carolina; Algonquin, Illinois; Peachtree Corners, Georgia; New Braunfels, Texas; Alberta, Canada. There you go, Greg. Westfield, New Jersey; Chattanooga, Tennessee; Woodland Hills, California; Glen Rock, PA; Evansville, Indiana.
Which side is Alberta on?
The West.
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking
It's further. It's further than you.
Is that British Columbia?
It's next to it.
Ah, okay.
Anyways,
Pennsylvania's probably the closest one for you.
It would be Berkeley.
Oh, Berkeley, yeah. Yeah, there's some options though. All right, we already announced the most important of the sim racing expos, but some of these lesser interesting exhibitors are also signed up. So let's talk about some of those. Starting with the Schaumburg Rennet. Oh no, that's the place. That's the discount code. Never mind. We have a discount code, IRLP10. Use that and get 10% off your tickets.
Book it, guys. It's time to book it. It's official.
Then our last news topic is Brad's This Week in iRacing. It's now named after you.
All right. So the NASCAR iRacing Series is at Martinsville. The Cerventic Endurance Series is at Mugello this week. We got the Dirt Late Models Tour is at Fairbury Speedway. The 410 Sprint Car Tour is at Kokomo Speedway. NASCAR Wheeling Modifieds are back this week. They'll be at Thompson Speedway Motorsports Park. As we discussed the struggles of the regional FIA F4 esports, Americas are at Lime Rock. Asia Pacific is at Tsukuba. I'm not going to say the T this time. So Europe is at Oschlerben. And Global is at the Olton Park, and as usual, Rainmeister, and all that. We already talked about the Coke Series. Porsche Tag Heuer will be up this week. This weekend will be at Thruxton, so that's going to should be an interesting race. Very short, tight circuit.
Podcast housekeeping. Leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform to make it easier for more listeners to find the podcast. Mention the podcast to your fellow drivers so they don't miss out. We would appreciate it. And guys, I'm also mentioning in my driving lobbies, Sim Gaming Expo, first weekend of September. Make sure people know about it. Get involved in the Discord discussion. It's super popping over there lately, 7 days a week. And then, of course, our show notes, iRacersLounge.com. We're in regular rotation at Performance Motorsports Network, and get your merchandise for the expo, before the expo at iRacersLounge.shop.
All right, Brad, how did y'all do in the fantasy? We're all get distracted because we've come up with a new title for Brad's section. In fact, before we go to fantasy, I've got to bring this up. We are now going to call it the Ren Weekly Racing Report, and that's also a tongue twister. Everybody try to say that 5 times fast.
You just say it, and we'll laugh.
Yep.
All right, fantasy this week. So Cup Series rolled on the Homestead Miami Speedway. Taking the win was TG1 Racing with 234 points. Mike's W2833 was second. Joe,
It's
Gujo, Joe.
It's GI Joe.
Oh, maybe I need to put my glasses on. Was third. Striker 441103 was fourth, and then 2If was fifth. I set my roster this week, and yeah, I didn't do too well. So, how'd you guys do?
No better.
I can't even get
I
into
need
my
to-
account. I can't even get into
I
my
knew to
account.
pick Kyle. It was pretty easy to pick him.
Yeah, so yeah, Kyle Larson with the win, late race pass on Bowman. It was typical Homestead was a good race, so a lot of chatter coming out of this week that this could be the season finale championship race for 2026. I hope so, because it definitely would put on a better show than Phoenix does.
I hope they rotate them though, going forward.
I think that's the discussion. What I'm hearing is it sounds like maybe a 3-year rotation between Homestead, Phoenix, and maybe Las Vegas.
I was listening to one of the podcasts, and it was kind of funny that they're talking about this. Like, well, okay, well now they get put it at Homestead, then Larson has the advantage. I'm like, we just watched 3 years in a row where a Penske car won a championship, and you're telling me about Larson having an advantage at one of the tracks?
Well, this is why I agree with Freddie Kraft in that it really should not be a single race. A 3-race playoff would be a lot better. Cut the field to 16 or cut more drivers each round and do a 3-race playoff.
I like that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. You got to do something more than one. I know we'll never go back to a year-long points system, but that's the way I'd prefer it to be. That's the way every other car series is, and if you ask drivers, they want a year-long point system.
Yeah, but one of the best years ever was in the chase format, right? Except that it broke Carl.
Are you talking about the Stewart year or the last one?
I know the Stewart year.
Nah, it wasn't Stewart year that broke it. It was the
The
last.
Stewart one he was okay with. It's the one where he got wrecked by Logano.
I don't know. So heading into Martinsville this week, who do we take? If you remember the spring race here last year was Hendrick's 40th anniversary, and you had, I think, 1, 2, 3 was Hendrick. I was at that race. It's a good race.
1, 2, 3, 8, wasn't it? 1, 2, 3, 8.
Something like
Look,
that.
Alex Bowman is my pick this week.
I'm gonna say it's probably gonna be a Toyota. I feel like Toyota, or this is gonna be Blaney's week to finally get off the schneid.
Well, that means the motor's got to last.
It's kind of weird that he's the only one that's had the problem though. So what's causing that?
I don't know. Ford has got something going on, but if you remember last year, it was Toyota. Yeah,
But it was in different Toyota cars. It wasn't just one driver that was getting it. Like you haven't seen any other Ford problems yet.
That may just be his style is highlighting the flaw.
I don't know. So Denny Hamlin always runs well here, although he hasn't won since I think 2014 was last time he won here. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure exactly who I'm going to probably throw in the lineup, but they're supposedly running the softer tire this week, same when they ran in the fall. That was a much better race than the spring race. So hopefully that'll be a good thing.
Anybody see what the forecast is? Because I know there's some patches of stuff going through here.
Yeah, there's rain chance, so we're off. I mean, I'm less than an hour from the track, so it's off and on rain over the course of the weekend.
Does that mean the rain tires are an option this weekend?
They're not rain tires; they're wet tires.
Sorry, wet tires. I'm sorry. I feel like this is the sim to gaming thing every time.
I think it's an option. Just depends on how much there's. I don't know if you get a lot of rain there. It's going to be a lot of puddling. It would take quite a bit, but I'm sure it's an option. And they've done them at North Wilkesboro, Richmond, New Hampshire. So,
I mean that track was probably pretty quick with those Titans could get dried really fast.
Yeah, that's not a concern. So I don't know. I just the tire was better last fall. I hope that's going to be the case because the short track package has been probably the worst package of all of it. So, but As we roll out of Homestead overall league standings, we've got Silver Mustang is taking the lead at 1,130 points, followed by Mike Wuchu. Third is Canadrian. Fourth is Cletus, 545. Fifth is Boats and Hose, and our buddy Tyler has dropped out of the top 10. So Tyler, get that roster set and get back in the top 10. You're the only guy that ever does consistently. And the rest of us are quite horrible.
All right, we're going to open up the hardware section with a feature of a Team Redline driver, Enzo Benito. And this is a video with him essentially talking about SimuCube and his journey. This one's definitely right up your alley, Mike.
Yeah, it's just a reminder for the listeners that SimuCube Pro 2 has a Team Redline version of their wheelbase, and you can get a view on it at the 3:15 mark on the video. They don't show it much, but it's basically a SimuCube 2 Pro with the Team Redline logos and red and black along the sides of it. I don't know, kind of cool. I don't know if I would buy one that's branded that way, but to each their own.
Huskenfeld did a set of, I think they did a set of sprints and maybe even ultimates that were Team Redline as well. So I don't know. Watching this, it was interesting. Just a professional sim racer. That's that was the interesting thing to me. I mean, this is what this guy's doing
It's
for a
his
living.
job.
Yeah, he's doing for a living. That's just it's just crazy.
It's cool. Yeah, he's pretty cool. Yeah, a neat little watch.
All right, next up, we have a video featuring Next Level ERS 4 and ERS 5. And that's funny that it's that acronym, because that reminds me of a card game that's played locally. I don't know if y'all know it or not. But what do we think of this one, Mike?
Well, first of all, it's Carl Gosling, and we haven't seen a video from him in a long time. He's had some health issues, and so it's really good to see him back and doing his videos like he used to. So great, Carl, to see you again. Yeah, he just reviews this seat. They have an upgrade on it. It goes from one version to another. I think he does a pretty good job of showing off what those differences are. He talks about the measurements. The seat goes back and forth, or tilt, I should say. But yeah, he's got a great place to show off sim racing equipment. I love that he does it in this white living room with white walls and white carpet, and everything is white. And then he got black product he's trying to show off in a white room. It's very visible. It's been very important when you're looking at stuff like this.
All right, Brad, next is Ace Tech Next Generation review.
Yeah, we talked about this, I think, a week or so ago. Ace-Tech has released their new, I guess, the next generation wheelbases, or not wheelbases, but steering wheels. So this was a review by Dave Cam, and just kind of rolls through some of the stuff that we've talked about before. Talks about some of the changes in ergonomics, and again, this is where Ace-Tech has gone more towards a hub, and then you can pick your different types of wheels that you want to attach to it. So you can take one hub and buy multiple, different shape wheels. So you can do an oval wheel, you can take that and then convert it into, like a formula wheel and stuff like that. So, they've upgraded. We talked, I think, a week or two ago. They've upgraded the buttons, upgraded some of the way it looks. So it's it's Ace-Tech. I'm still just not a fan of the shape of that hub. It's just such a odd shape. And that's what I've thought all along.
Batman.
It's a weird shape. Yeah, it's just a weird shape.
Batman.
But do you notice it once the pieces are attached?
Yes, it still looks weird.
I don't like the RPM gauge, how long it's from the left side all the way through the center and all the way to the right. It's like
But
super long.
Yeah, but it's it's like a V.
like you said, I'm sure it's great at all. It's not for me. I don't know. It doesn't rub me the right way. The way that the design is, like when you look at the wheelbases and they have the neon light stuff on them, and I'm like, yeah.
All right, next up, Will, we have Simrito pedals. I don't know what brand this is or where they're from.
It's an AliExpress type deal, kind of like Simjacks, and it looks like them too. You go to AliExpress, you can grab a 3-pedal set for €200, about, so whatever that conversion is in American dollars, plus 3 months it'll take to get to you. I'm not gonna lie, I did not make it through the entire video because it looked just like 6 or 7 other of these pedal sets that we've seen. So I didn't get his conclusions about it, but it looks, if you're short or not short on cash, but if you're looking for a budget option for your pedals, possible.
Yeah.
I think there's more proven ones out there though. That, like I said, I mean, the Simjacks have pretty good reviews, so I don't know if you want to take a chance here or go with some of the more proven ones.
Look, I think they're all the same. I think that I don't want to be political here, but I'll digress a little. I think that China, part of the problem with China is intelligent design theft. And I'm pretty sure that all these pedals are
intellectual property.
Intellectual property theft. Sorry, that's right. What I meant to say. And I'm pretty sure all these sets of pedals are basically knockoffs from Heiskensveld and others. And all these companies, Simjack, Simpson, like the one I have, Simruito is the third one. They're all based out of China. They all have the same product pretty much. They all have the same pricing. Things change just a little bit from one company to the other, but they're basically the same thing. But what a value. Look, I'm going to pair the Simpson pedal set with the Moza active pedal. I'm going to put that active pedal right in the middle of two, Simpson pedals that are Chinese knockoffs, and I'm going to be happy with it. So we'll see how it goes.
All right. Speaking of Huskenveld, we've got the Huskenveld Race Center splits. This is an Instagram post, I believe. It's a new pedal set built for commercial applications. So what does that mean?
Sim Center, I would assume.
Yeah, something along those lines. So sprints I actually had originally, ended up switching to the Ultimates. But so they're just built a little bit stronger for commercial applications. I think I said made a few tweaks, in what they're doing. So I was happy with the sprints originally. I'd always wanted the Ultimates, and then that's why I ended up picking them up. But fully adjustable brake pedal, 15K up to a 17 kilogram load cell. It's like the difference between a knockoff and the Huskenfelds is, I can look at the pictures like looking at the Simurito, and then I look down at my Ultimates, and I can tell the difference of the thickness of all the metal. It's
right.
That's where you start to see the difference there. It's the thickness and it's the quality of the metal and the build quality. So
Brad likes them thick.
I do. Yes.
It's been a while since it's been brought up, but most of the stuff that like in the music world, if you get an instrument from China, one of these Chinese knockoffs, you take it to any repair shop in America and they'll tell you to turn right back around and walk out because they can't get parts from them and they can't fix them because they're made of such shit material.
So if you were buying pedals today from Heiskensveld, would you consider these?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's a whole lot of difference, between the two. I still think I'm a very heavy breaker, and that was the only downside with the sprints was that the load cell was not strong enough. I'm just a very, very heavy breaker. That's the main reason why I switched to the Ultimates.
The other thing I noticed is, if he's developing a particular product for commercial applications, are we at a point now where there's enough businesses, there's enough sim centers to support, these type of products? That's pretty cool.
He's making it so that it probably has durability too, because people are going to be beating on them, not like, a lot different than what we do in
Well,
our sims too, right?
yeah, and the difference being, again, anybody going to a sim center. Let's think about think about who's going to go to a sim center. You're going to have a group of kids that are going to rent it out, or they're going to do something like that. They're not going in there with the, they're not on it every night like I am, and I am putting, I don't know, 100 kilograms of pressure on the brake or whatever it is. So I think that's some of the differences there. And again, it's no different than, we went to the Micro Center down in Charlotte, and they've got the SimuCube, and I sat down and I was like, yes, I've wanted to try a SimuCube wheelbase. Well, they had it so detuned, you couldn't even feel anything. So, that's why stuff like this, I think, works.
Well, additionally, they're just going to get a lot of use, right? A lot of use because they're going to be running all day. So that you need that durability for that as well. All right, Mike, we've got some peripherals out of Track Racer in a video featuring some of them.
We certainly do. I mean, a 5-minute video with tons of information, including a first look at their pedals and that they're coming out with. I don't know how to describe them. They're not the typical metal pedal like the Heiskenveld. They're more bulkier. I don't know how
the Sim Labs.
Maybe, yeah. And but they're just typical load cell. But he's also got a handbrake, a shifter, and then of course a formula wheel with the display. Formula wheel actually looked pretty intriguing to me.
It's the Alpine.
It reminds me of. Oh yeah, okay, so that's why I was just gonna say it reminds me of the IndyCar Dash too.
Yeah, I mean, I think they started to show some stuff. I think at the expo that was in Germany was when they first started talking about this last year. So, yeah, I mean, they're expanding in the peripherals. The shifter looks interesting. It's, I guess, a prototype, but I thought it was interesting. He said, it's loud. It's very loud. But
he said that like it's a feature.
I know, but I do like how narrow it is. That's the one thing that I did like about that shifter. When I looked at it, I was like, that thing is nice and narrow. That's the one thing I did like about it.
But just a second ago, you were promoting thick.
Yeah.
Make your mind up.
The Alpine wheel, though, it's to kind of to look like the Alpine's F1 wheel, but it does look pretty, like I said, premium. I like the look.
All right, the next video is a quick video from our friend Dave Cam, friend of the show. And it talks about an iRacing stutter problem that may not be iRacing after all. It's just a 2-minute fix, right?
Well, I put this back in the script because after the last patch, my stutter was back. And I went in, I was like, you know what? We talked about this probably, I don't know, 2 or 3 months ago, but this is the video going in if you're on Intel about unparking your cores on your CPU. And I said, you know what? Let me go in and make sure my core, because I went through and did this, unparked my cores. Well, either a Windows update or something along the way, all my cores were parked again. So the reason I threw this in there was as soon as I went back and did that, my performance went right back up compared to where I was previous of this build and post build. So I don't know. There's been a couple Windows updates along the way. I don't know if that did something, but if you've applied this fix a couple months ago, you need to go in and look and check and see if your cores are parked again, because all of mine were.
Is this specific to certain generations? Because I have a stuttering issue, but it goes away if I make something other than iRacing the focus.
Yes, it is. I would go in and watch this, David, and go in and look. A super easy fix, but it was took care of all my stutter issues, a couple months ago. And like I said, there's been a couple Windows updates since then, and I think it turned and parked my cores again.
Well, here's an additional question. Could you see the stuttering in your third-party apps too?
No. I mean, I caught it just in the gameplay. I mean, it's where it was bad.
Because I can see it in everything. My JRT displays, everything have extreme stuttery if iRacing is focused. So I always have to make sure I click on something else when I get in the car.
So is this Intel only?
Yes.
So they don't have that problem with the Ryzen stuff then, eh?
No, this is an Intel
Or AMD,
issue.
I guess.
Yeah, no, it's not an AMD issue. It's an Intel issue. So, yeah, like I said, we talked about this. I don't know. It may have been more. It may have been 3 or 4 months ago. We talked about this, but like I said, I started digging into because my frames per second were down quite a bit, and I was like, let me try to start looking and seeing what's going on. I was like, you know what? Let me go check that. And I'm like, son of a gun. Yeah, they're all parked again.
All right, I don't know how much detail we need to go into the next one, but there's an update from Ace Tech with setting recommendations for their new wheelbase. That part 1 has for standard GT, prototype, and formula, and they're going to be coming out soon with oval, and dirt road.
I can't imagine having a wheelbase where I don't have a way of pulling up somebody's oval profile and using it. And if you had an Ace-Tech, it almost looks like that's the case. So, yeah, that's important.
Fanatec doesn't do it either.
Mike, why do you like having how many different profiles do you run?
Every car is a different profile.
So how do you get any fluidity to create a driving style in each thing if you're driving someone else's settings?
Every car is different. But look, when I get in a GT3, I'm driving Daniel Morad's settings. I trust him to have it right. It's one of those things. Or I'm running a Dan Suzuki profile, another guy I trust. So as we get into one of these future topics about SimiCube's new software update, I'll just go ahead and talk about that now. It has now added auto profile switching. I don't even have to go in and switch the profile now. When I get in the car, it switches it for me.
That's useful.
So that is very useful. Something happened with my base and it lost all its settings. Like every profile that I had tweaked over the years was gone. And I don't have, if I have it, a screenshot of it anywhere, I don't have it. So I actually went in and had Chat GTP give me the most recent recommendations. About the only thing that I usually change though is how much force feedback. Because if I'm in the cup car, I crank it up to 100%, and then if I'm in the other cars, I usually run it at about 75%.
William, you're on a SimiCube, aren't you?
Yeah, and I don't actually change it per car. I run Dan Suzuki's GT3 profile, and then about all I change is the force. If I get in a formula car, I turn the force down, or if I get an oval, I'll turn it down. But that's about all I change.
Here's a question: would you change your brake pedal for each thing? Like, if you had the option to change brake pedal, would you do that as well?
Yeah, that's why I bought the Moza brake, so I could do just that.
Yeah, I would keep it the same, just so I'm consistent.
I learn, I get the feel one way, and I don't want to change that way.
Yeah, it's muscle memory.
Well, I'm going for immersion more than speed. So that brings us to the next one. Marvin's amazing iRacing app. We've already beat this with a dead horse, but I wanted to bring it up again because I'm loving it, guys. I'm really using it to dictate the strength of the force feedback and the effect of the force feedback. You map 2 buttons or 2 knobs, and you just turn it up and down, and it works like a charm. I'm really happy with it, and there's other people that are happy with it, including this new channel I found on YouTube. This guy had a lot of good things to say about it.
Yeah, I've been running it. I played with it a little bit before we started the 12 hours of Sebring, and found a setting that I liked, and then I tweaked on it some more. So I've gotten to where I'm very happy, and I'm not switching between different profiles anymore in my base. So I'm keeping the same settings for my base, and then with the latest update of this, it's actually saving the settings by car as well. So again, it makes it easier. So when you load into it, no matter what car I load into, it will load the actual settings for that car. The one thing I do like about it too is it'll separate the settings between a wet and a dry. So on the road side, I typically find I need a little bit heavier wheel when if I'm racing in the rain. So that's kind of nice to where it's grabbed that as well. So yeah, it's I was very I tried this the very first time and I was like, I hate it. I don't even think I made it probably 5 minutes. I was like, delete it, done. And then kept messing with it, and I put it back on there again. And it was like, nope, I don't like it again. And now I'm pretty much sold. I don't know if Sebring was fantastic with the settings. Sebring's never felt so alive. I think William, you said it. Going into turn one and actually being able to feel the oscillation of the car and just all the bumps going into turn one. It was fantastic.
Yeah, it really was. I got my settings dialed in as much as I could in practice before Sebring, and I actually decided to run it for the 12. Glad I did. It felt really great. Just a lot of detail. And then, I just got through saying I'd keep the same settings for every car, but Marvin, it does when you get the new car, it loads the new settings that you've done for that car. It's really just strength and detail, so it's not like I'm changing a ton. But we ran the 12, and then I got in our community race in the Mazda, and it loaded right up. Didn't have to do anything. It was very nice.
Yeah, and I think I even said something last night. I think in this race, I mean, difference for me for oval versus road. I liked a little bit higher. I found I would like a higher detail on the oval. So on the road, I think I'm running 200 on the on oval. I'm running 250, and then like a little bit stronger force on the oval side. I just like a heavier wheel. So. But no, this guy is super enthusiastic about this. However, I do want to point out one thing. If you watch the video, look who he works for, and then look behind his right shoulder and look at the box that's sitting over there. Not too good.
So he's a UPS driver, but he's got FedEx boxes behind.
Yeah, I thought that was funny.
Hey,
Yeah.
if you work,
Well,
if you work at McDonald's, you don't buy any burgers anywhere else.
I just would be a little more careful when I'm doing stuff because look, companies watch your social media. Believe it or not, companies watch your social media.
Well, you can't control what boxes his stuff gets sent to him in.
I know, but I can tell you that I have competitors that I would make for absolute certain that none of their stuff would be in a picture with me in it.
Before we go on to the next topic, I just want to point out that I have heard of beating a dead horse, but I can't imagine how much of a power lifter you have to be to actually beat somebody with a dead horse. I don't know if y'all missed that, but Mike said kind of twisted up that expression just a little, and I thought it was pretty funny. All right, Moza 360 Hertz is here. So I don't think anybody else run Moza. Oh, so it's not here.
Yep.
Why do you give me these incorrect titles?
I'll fix it.
So
Moza says it's ready.
soon.
Yeah, I think they're just waiting for iRacing to release it.
Yeah, there's and no official word from iRacing, what's taking so long or when it's coming. But Moza's put this out like twice now, so I think they're kind of trying to pressure iRacing into hurrying it up there.
iRacing will do it when it's ready.
Hashtag soon.
All right, Mike, tell us about a new member of the Conspit team.
Tyler Wang, who we talked about a week or two ago, was the leader at Sim Magic, has left Sim Magic and has been apparently hired by Conspit. And so pretty cool to see an industry leader land on his feet, at a competitor. And maybe he can bring Conspit, up to Sim Magic's level, so to speak, especially with distribution.
Yeah, there's already been some posts on social media that Conspit's looking for some U.S. distributors already. So, like I shared before, you can get their stuff on AliExpress, but yeah, they're apparently looking for some U.S. distributors. I do believe they have some Canadian ones, but as that is, you're going to pay extra, unfortunately.
All right, we have another video talking about different iRacing settings. And as I'm glancing at it, it looks like he had some pedal settings and stuff in there too, or at least some kind of software that I saw the pedal curves. So what do we know about this one, Brad? Did you get through this one?
Yeah, I flipped through this pretty quick. So this is James Baldwin. He's a GT3 driver. He touches on some stuff. I mean, talks about FOV. I'm not. I don't know. The graphic settings. He turns like crowds and all that stuff off, and I'm just not a big fan of that. And I get it if you're a professional driver and you do this for real, you see. Yeah, I get it, but look. It would have sucked winning my race last night if there was nobody in the stands. So,
Did you just say if you don't have any crowds, you're not a big fan?
maybe I did. Yeah, I mean, he touches on a lot of stuff you don't need. And turns it down. I don't know. I just I think there's been some better videos out there.
Here's a question from a graphics point. I noticed last night when I was racing in the rain with the GTP card, David, maybe you can help me with this because you're in VR. Did the new graphics update change the reflections on the windshield to reflect the inside of the car more?
I don't know, but I was having trouble seeing my left apexes because of the rain, actually, because the windshield wipers in the center of the car, even though I'm sitting more on the left of the windshield. So the windshield's it's not getting a part of the windshield where I need to see the left apex on the left-handers.
So some of the updates in the patch today were addressing some of the specular maps that were used for that. So that may have been an issue.
Because I was getting the dash reflecting back up, and it was kind of hard to see through on some of it with some of the rain.
Look,
yeah, I think that's
if you were. Sorry, go ahead.
The dash in particular, I think it's just a consequence of the lighting model that we got updates for recently. That's the first time I started noticing it, so I'm sure it's something to do with that.
So to the video, I think James Baldwin and his settings are really geared towards the esport racer, the guy who's competing in the Porsche series, somebody along those lines. Yeah, you would want to maximize your frames and turn off the eye candy, for obvious reasons. But to my point before, I'm not going for speed. I'm going for immersion. So everyone has different goals. And this video is, the goal is fast. The goal is speed. And so if you want to tailor your settings that way, you can. But there's lots of ways of doing it.
With the FOV conversation, I've seen some impressive FOV setups this week. TikTok has seemed to be a lot of iRacing this week for me, with an algorithm, I guess. But some of these guys have perfectly set FOVs, and it's just it looks like you're in the car from the way that they got their angles.
All right, next up, I'm not sure why we're covering Star Wars items, but we have a design for a fighter in the next Star Wars movie. Oh wait, this is actually a racing rig, isn't it?
Pod racer.
It looks like a Formula cockpit to me. But yeah. One of those Formula, surrounds. It's got the halo and everything. So when you crawl in it feels just like an F1 car.
Okay, I see it now. I was looking at the front. I was looking at it completely in the opposite direction and seeing kind of a Star Warsy looking thing.
Mike, from this picture, how do you get the halo to be transparent on it?
That would be kind of a weird thing because you got a real halo in front of you. So in the software, I presume you would have it, where you see through it. But would it still look weird?
Well, see, this is the problem when you're going to try to use a cockpit like this. Like iRacing, for example, you can't get the camera angle right. You can't. You need to have basically just the wheels in front of you, and you can't do that in iRacing.
Now, when you look at this video and you look at how far away and how small the monitors are, they got triple monitors out in front of this thing, but it's 8 feet from the guy's face. Okay, like how is that going to work?
Yeah. Was it last week that y'all dove deep into the hiding the 8 Halo as being cheating or not? Okay. If you're racing in VR, I didn't get to talk on this one, but if you're racing in VR, you don't turn it off because you don't see it. It literally, it's there, but it's like if you take your finger and you put it right here and you look at the monitor, I can't see my finger now. It's just barely there. All right. And it's not in the same location. Because it's like if your eyes are crossed. You don't get that if you're in a 2D view. So I don't think it's unfair for people stuck on a 2D monitor to hide that thing. Because you're not actually going to have it in your way. You're not going to see it if you're actually sitting behind it.
I don't see it when I race with it.
Yeah, I was going to say it's no different than the center bar coming down in a stock car. It's not there. I don't see it. I mean, you don't notice it.
It's more there though than when I'm in 3D. It's actually in a different location on my eyes, so it's completely grayed out, like you see through it. You can see through. Right when I do this, I can see 2 fingers, not just one, and each of them I can see through.
Well,
the
worst thing about this too, this actual product is how far those screens are away. It's not the actual effect of the halo where you're sitting, isn't giving the actual effect of the world to wherever that sim is being projected on that screen, because you can't get a good field of view with the screens where they are.
Yep. All right, I think we got time for one more. Mike, do you feel the rush?
Yeah, so the Razor has their new Sensa Sim Racing. I don't know if it's a pad or a seat insert, but it's got 6 different haptics, 4 on the back, 2 on the bottom, and it works in SimHub software. There is a plugin. You download a Razor plugin to work in SimHub, and this is a quick way to get some haptics around, on your back and butt.
I would like to try it to see what it kind of feels like. If it would this be like would it try and mimic what do you call it you guys have for your seats? The
butt kicker? I wonder if it would outperform a butt kicker, actually, since it's right on you instead of having to go through the rig.
I was looking at it because it's, I guess for me it's $3.99 Canadian. It's pretty expensive insert or pad.
So it's what, probably $19.99 here?
Yeah, something like that. No, but I think it would be interesting to try it, but they're showing it on a gaming seat, like people gaming like we're sitting at our computers here, like Mike's sitting as rig. How would it fit in the rig would be an interesting on some of these racing seats.
Well, and I don't know what benefit the haptics would be in certain areas. I mean,
is this like the G seat where how does the G seat moving with you, right?
Yeah, but I don't know, if I don't know what benefit I'm going to get from a haptic hitting me in my left shoulder blade. It's going to do for a race car. Nothing.
It'll give you the rumble of the car.
Maybe just the bottom half would be a good budget option. Just the two on the bottom. So you could have a difference between your left tire slip and your right tire slip.
So I think you could definitely do that cheaper than $400.
Yeah.
I don't think it would fit in my bucket seat, to Greg's point.
That's what I'm saying. Like at each one of them, they were showed in gaming chairs. From none of the gaming chairs, like any chair I'm sitting in, it's not like it's skinny like my rig is, right? Like my rig kind of holds on to me.
Well, I mean, I can kind of maybe see it from a gaming perspective. I'm in a chair and I'm playing, I don't know, Call of Duty. There's an explosion behind me, so there's some sort of concussion that you're going to feel in your back or something.
You're going to get blown off your seat.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, I mean, or like with the headphones. I mean, there's some sort of haptics in there that do something. That I can understand. I just don't know if from a sim racing aspect, I don't know. I don't know where the benefit of this would come in.
Dude, we need rumble motors in the headset.
Why?
So your head get this concussion thing.
All right, just make sure you got your belts on, so that when you black out, you won't fall out of the rig.
Great. Junior's gonna have to retire from iRacing because he'll get a concussion when he wrecks with his headset on.
Could you imagine Junior trying to use those head belts to simulate the head G-forces?
See, so these Kraken Pro, like I have the headset I'm wearing right now for the podcast is I have the Krakens, but these obviously are like the first ones. So that's like their newest version. I guess they're the ones that are kind of giving like a haptic feedback to it because haptic seems to be in everything. Like you got even gaming controllers that have different haptic feels in them now.
Okay, let's jump to results and talk NASCAR iRacing Series Friday Open at Homestead. P19 first run, I wasn't too bad. I came up through there. I got involved in a wreck, not much damage. It was never the same after that. Once I lost that track position, though, pretty much ran in the back. I was lucky to get P19. David wrecked late.
Yeah, some guys decided because the inside road didn't quite go fast enough that they wanted to take it for a ride, and then it just resulted in a wreck.
I think I was in that, but what happened was I looked at the replay. I was trying to get to the bottom, and there was a gap. And when I went into the gap, it wasn't quite there, and I kind of just barely touched the guy in front of me, just barely. But it was enough for him to lose it.
Or this is still Homestead?
Oh, that was Homestead. Never mind.
Yeah,
that was last night. Duh.
Well, that last night was when you wrecked me out of the race.
Yeah, I wrecked you. All right, let's keep moving. Tony, DNF.
He owned it though, so I'm over it. I mean, so it's cool as long as you own it. You know, mistakes happen, and it was definitely a barely on the edge kind of mistake.
All right, back to Homestead. Tony, DNF. Same old song and dance. Wrong place, wrong time. Early on, wrecking in front of me, and I couldn't avoid it. Brad, P6.
Yeah, P6 started P7, so kind of the same thing that's happened the last couple weeks. Really good long run speed, but needed the race to go a certain way, and it didn't happen. Ended up with yellow coming out during green flag stops. So, ended up having to take a wave around and, get freaking off cycle and stuff. Ended up fading towards the end, ended up finishing P6. I do give a shout out to Drew Blaze. We had a great 2-lap battle coming to the checkered. I was running 5th, and he got up underneath me, and it was just for 2 laps. We were side by side, just both of us giving each other a lot of room. So, Drew, just want to give you a shout out. So, thank you for the clean run.
All right. And Kyle Pittygraph, P18, started P9. Just didn't have the car. I needed to be strong. Running in these higher splits is teaching a whole new racecraft that I'm trying to adjust. Sunday Open, David, P8.
Yeah, I got to the front on this one, but we had a really long run, and I faded. So I think I stuck with the short run set because I'm just needing to be better at the short run, and it's starting to show up in the long run. But it ends up being kind of a trade-off now because what do you do, right? You get too far behind and you never get it back.
Tony Rochette, P7, had a decent clean race that I could run about anywhere and was actually passing cars middle and end of long run. Greg, P3.
Yeah, I was not comfortable all that race, trying to work on a whole bunch of stuff, and cautions came late, and I guess the setup came alive for me with less fuel in it and new tires, and I was able to finally get it to work where I wanted to, and I was driving up. I was actually battling for the win, and just came up a little bit short. Didn't have enough time to catch the last 2 guys. They got too far ahead of me on their last restart and just couldn't reel them in completely. I was within half a second of getting to them, but I had the better tires. I just couldn't get there in time.
Kyle Pittygraph, P19, started P19. Car felt tight all race, couldn't get it to turn. Was able to drive up to 6th for a portion of the race, but tires faded and new tire cars charged up, and I had to just ride it out until the next caution. Tried to use strategy and save my last set of tires to the end. 13 to go. I take my last set and hope it's enough for a strong finish. Greg and Tyler pitted the caution before and took the track position, and I just didn't have enough laps to work my way back up to finishing P19 after 3 Homestead starts this week and finishing on the lead lap in all of them. I must say I'm proud of myself. Sunday 6th Homestead, I ran P19. Started 23rd, I worked my way up to run as high as P5, but had a few incidents that put me back, and this was just not able to move up after that and ended up getting wrecked near the end. All right, Martinsville, Wednesday Open, P9. Ran as high as P4 until somebody sideswiped me and sent me to the back. Got involved in an incident where David got taken out, but I was able to continue on and finish P9. David wrecked out late.
Yeah, you hit a guy, and then he went across the corner and came flying back up and just torpedoed me. The car was actually still drivable at that point, but at that point I'm back in 20th and couldn't get back up. But ultimately, I think what got me back in that place I shouldn't have been to begin with was I was just failing at every restart to gain any positions. If I was on the inside, I didn't do a good job of taking advantage of it, and on the outside, I would lose 1 or 2 spots. So I think that's ultimately what led to my demise, is that I was just sucking at the restarts. And I did congratulate Brad. I don't know if he heard it in the 1,000 congratulations at the time, but I got out pretty quickly because all the things I just needed to go do another thing at that point. Actually, I think I went and I don't remember what I did after. Actually, I think I played some Civ 7.
Chris Waldron, P5. I was running 10th when I picked up 8 incident points, so dropped to the back. Fresh tires at halfway, worked my way back into the top 10. A few checkups later, I had to serve the pass-through penalty, but luck was on my side. Got a lucky dog with 15 to go. From there, the car really came to life. Powered my way up to 5th. Just behind Justin Pearson, we were rubbing doors on the cool-down lap as we both celebrated our finish. And Brad Wren's big win. Big congrats to Brad Wren on his win in his split. And that's it, Brad. You finally did it. Winner, winner, chicken dinner.
Yeah, so P1, started P4, kind of stayed in the top 5-ish the whole night. Cautions were horrible. I don't remember how many we actually ended up with. It was probably, I don't know, 15 or so. But yeah, frustrating from that standpoint. First win, but again, once I kind of got out front, was able to kind of control most of the restarts. First NIS win for me since 2016. So as I told you guys in the chat, really appreciate the just all you guys. Y'all are a bunch of good encouragers, and that really helps because there's times where all of us get really frustrated in what happens. So when things just don't go the way that we wanted. Shout out to Premier Racing Setups. The setups this week just absolutely on fire. I really wanted this race to go green because the car was just so good. I mean, I think we had a few. I mean, I hate to say it, 15, maybe we got a 20 lap run in there, but I mean, I was able to pull out 8/10 to a second over a second lead. Just really, just fantastic set this week. Super fast. So glad to get a dub for the year. That was my goal this year, was to at least get one NIS win. Did I think it would ever come at Martinsville? Absolutely not. But yeah, I'm super happy.
Look, you had them covered at the end. You made it look easy, but there were 3 of us in the top 5 for majority of the race.
Yeah.
And so super proud of our team and how we ran and Premier setup. And that brings us to today. I ran Thursday Open, P5 for me. Started in the back, ran around 5th to 10th most of the race, though. Was involved in several different incidents. Had about 2 minutes damage. I never got a second of it fixed. Lost a lap at one point, got a lucky dog, but kept it clean towards the end and finished that nice, respectable P5. FIA F4, Kyle Pendergraft P11, started P12, spun on lap 1 and just spent the race trying to catch up. A Open, Brad P12.
Yeah, so this is kind of the opposite of last night. Started P6, stayed in that top 6 to 8 positions the whole race. So again, 110 laps, just too many yellows. Never pitted, stayed out the entire time. But so we ended up, one of those nights where, however it works, to where you get just enough laps to where you only get one attempt at the green white checkered. I guess that has just what fall naturally. Is that the way it typically works?
But 2, if you have 2 to go, yeah.
Okay, so we had one attempt at it. So I think I restarted in 3rd and going into turn 3, coming to the white flag. The 5th place guy just absolutely drives through the 4th place guy, who ends up driving into me. So it's just super frustrating. End up finishing 12th. When I was really set up for to get a P3, but it's just I was top split. It wasn't but a couple splits that night, but it's just races really don't get any better when you get into the higher I rating. It's just when there's guys that are 6,000 and 7,000 I rating that are just absolutely driving over their heads. It's really discouraging. Sometimes I think the racing is better at a little bit lower I rating, believe it or not.
All right, IMSA, David, P3.
Yeah, I don't know if I put this one in last week or not because it ran at midweek trying to get ready for the 12 hours and getting used to the new car. I haven't really gotten to talk about it, I guess, since the patch. I like it. It's harder to drive, but it seems to be not, so far that it drives like, say, a stock car. But it still requires a little bit of finesse, and also requires you to be careful at the beginning. So I'm enjoying it, and it's you can't, like Brad said last week, you can't go as fast through the corners, so you can't be as aggressive with the GT3s entering a corner. Whereas if you didn't before, you pretty much were giving up time to your competitors. So there were places in the old car that I was sending it that I didn't used to, just because you had to, or you'd lose time. And I'm glad that's gone away. So you can still try to get beside them before a corner, but it's not as costly to stay behind them if you haven't gotten to them before the entry of their corner. So, P3, but just taking care of the car and not wrecking when over half the field does.
Okay, Brad, P10.
Sebring, I only got one race in last week, and I think I ran Friday night. I think that's what I did, just to try to get some laps. So we ran the McLaren with William on Saturday for the 12 hours, and I'd never raced. I practiced the McLaren here or there. I never raced. So I decided to jump in a race just to get a feel for it. I kind of finished where I kind of deserved. I mean, I just wasn't very much faster than anybody ahead of me. Laps got a lot better after driving for hours on Saturday. But it's been I somehow got thrown in Division 2 up from Division 3 this season in IMSA. So it's pretty discouraging when you're like number 900 and something in the standings after 1 week.
All right, William, P5.
Yeah, I ran this on a Sunday, the day after the 12-hour. Started P5, threw away a podium with 2 mistakes. My own fault, nobody else's. By pit stops, I had gotten up to P3. Went to the pits. Auto fuel was not on. Sometimes, for whatever reason, it's just not on for me, and I forget to check it. So put all 14 gallons in, lost a spot there, and then about 4 laps later, I spun the car coming out of turn 4. Didn't hit anything, but lost a spot there. Finished P5. Second split, I felt I was pretty fast. Just unfortunate. Had 2 mistakes there.
All right, let's move on to the Sebring 12 hours. William, Brad, and Jacob, P5.
Go ahead, William.
Yeah, so me and Brad ran. We picked up a guy from Grassroots just to have the third, so we weren't driving 6 hours each. My really good friend Jacob, he's really fast, so I was really happy to have him on board. I did the first 3 stints because both of them had work commitments in the morning. I qualified the car really slow. I think we started P17. I was not happy with my qualifying there. Fell to about 23rd on the first lap, just trying to avoid all the carnage. People were sending it 4 wide in the sunset, 5 wide in the turn 1. I was just trying not to die. By the time I got out of the car to hand it to Brad, I think I'd gotten back up to P12 or something like that. And after that, Brad, you want to take it from your portion?
Yeah, so I got in the car and was okay. I did not have the pace that William and Jacob ended up having, but I ended up with a disconnect. So about 8 laps left in the first stint, and I'm watching my quality just drop, and I'm like, I got William going, where are you at? I don't see you. What's going on? So desperately trying to get back to. I'm hoping it's going to hold long enough for me to get back to the pits to where I could jump out, but I ended up getting dropped, and Jacob got in. But you guys did a fantastic job during the middle section of the race, kind of getting us back to where we needed to be. We lost, I think what do we have, about a 40-second tow or something?
It was about a minute. Yeah, we got much luckier than we could have been.
Yeah, so we lost a lap. But we really had a lot of good speed. You guys were super quick, and I mean, if that had not happened, I really feel like we probably had a podium. But it was enjoyable. I had never driven the McLaren. That was fun. You know, it's an odd car, and I told you that the way the turbo is, it just really takes some time to get used to it. And that's the one thing I do like about iRacing. I mean, it's just you can, especially on the GT3 side, you can get each car is so unique. I mean, the McLaren's is a mid-engine car, no different than the Corvette, but it drives. You have to drive it completely different, completely different, which I just love. So, look, I really had a good time. Jacob is super fast. You guys were a lot of fun. So, look, we ended up with a P5, all said and done. I really think we probably had a podium finish had we not had the disconnect. But you know, I do appreciate you, and I appreciate Jacob sticking in there, and best finish for me in a long time, and in a special event. So I was super happy.
Yeah, we did really well. I was really happy with our pace, especially since I put you two in a car you don't have much experience in. I run the McLaren all the time, so I mean, you guys paced considering you don't have a lot of experience, and that was really great. Just kind of piggybacking off something David said earlier, the GTPs were, you know, since this tire refresh, they're much more well behaved. They're not sitting in places where they shouldn't be. We really didn't have any problems at all. We had 40 seconds of repairs all night, and that's just because the GTP lost in front of Jacob and he had nowhere to go. Besides that, we had a really clean race. The only problem we had all night was from a lap down GT3 that thought that, you know, he owned the track, but you know, nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, I will say the one thing that was a challenge though was the heat in the track. I mean, gosh, it was hot, and I mean, you had no grip. I mean, I think it was about 116 or something.
116, yeah.
Yeah, it was hot. So, but as soon as that we got towards the late afternoon and the evening, man, the car just came alive.
Yeah, I didn't want to get out on my last stint because the car was just flying. It was so fun.
All right, David, Tom, Kyle, wrecked.
Yeah, we started bad, ended up good, and then ended up bad. The beginning was the most absurd thing I'd ever seen. Two GTPs on the start get into each other before we even get past the start-finish line. It may have been, I'm pretty sure it was before the start-finish line. It was definitely before turn one. So we're not even getting to turn one. And there's a wreck that takes out half of the GTPs. I get stopped, but get about 8 seconds of damage on the nose because there's still nowhere to go. And I T-bone a guy, but very slowly. And in the process, I'm stopped and I can't move until all the GT3s are clear. So I come out behind the GT3s. I go ahead and go in and get it fixed. I'm able to drive back through the field, and I'm in 8th place after the pit because so many cars were destroyed at the opening. We got all the way up to 4th. The 3 in front of us were nice and checked out and probably faster than us anyway. Tom came in, had a good stint. Kyle came in and put it in the wall in Sunset, and that was it. I just wasn't feeling encouraged after that to keep going on that one. I didn't want to ride around 12 minutes behind in this case.
All right, Tom Dreiling, IndyCar iRacing Series P8, ran up and down all race, got contact 3 different times, and had to replace the wing 3 times, was able to work myself back. ARCA, Kyle, P10, started P18, save. That is the strategy for the ARCA cars at Charlotte. Grassroots Racing League, William, P2.
Yeah, so this was our season finale. We run 12-week seasons just like iRacing, but we're slightly off schedule from them. Road Atlanta, so obviously my home track's the track I probably have, with the exception of Sebring, I think I probably have more laps at, but Atlanta's the second one. Started 5th. We have about 6 or 7 guys that are really fast at the top of the GT3 field, so we're all normally fighting through there. Started 5th. Got it to P3 3, I think, by the pit stop, and then the second place car had an unfortunate mishap with a lap car. He lost it going up turn 5, and he just collected the second place guy. Unfortunate. Again, yeah, it was a good time. Happy with the result. Wish I could have had a few more laps because I think I could have tried to run down the leader, but we'll see. So that ends our season. Our next season, I think we are beginning April 8th. So I know I posted it on Discord. Maybe if anybody is interested in running GTB or GT3, hit me up. We'll get you in.
All right. Other racing I ran, BMW M2 at Summit Point. Started dead last, drove up to finish P6. Then I was crazy to do this. Draft Masters Gen 7 at Talladega. I got wrecked out right away and finished near the back. I had this crazy idea I was going to gain some I rating, gain some SR, maybe win the race. No, that wasn't happening. All right, final thoughts, David Hall.
Well, I skipped the Thursday race today in lieu of practicing in the rain at Sao Paulo, and actually had more fun doing that. It is crazy just how bad they race at Martinsville, and we've come up with all kinds of crazy theories on how to fix it, but it just ultimately is going to come down to the drivers having to understand you can't run it like the pros do, especially at our skill level, and especially with being online and not having a spotter tell you something. You just have to show a little bit more grace, and a lot of guys didn't. And it becomes almost every one of the wrecks in our race until the end were in the back, right? It's, and I believe in racing for 20th, 21st, but not wrecking every 2 laps. You can't get it all back at once. And man, I had more fun practicing in the rain at Sao Paulo. I didn't know Sao Paulo. I apparently own it, but I don't remember ever racing it. But I practiced it today, and if there's one thing I feel like I've gotten quicker at, it's at learning a track, because it didn't take me that long to just understand how to drive the track, which kind of corner each kind of corner was. So that's pretty neat to pick that up pretty fast. And the GTP is not that bad in the rain like it was when it first came out. So even though they made it a lot more dangerous early on the dry, in the rain, as long as you're not overdoing it, it's not as hard to drive as it was last year when we tried to run the Sebring 12 in the rain.
Okay, Greg Hectus, final thought.
I guess this weekend, like I said, I'm running that. David was saying that we're running that Sao Paulo race. I did qualifying and practice yesterday. I guess I'm starting tomorrow night for us, and we'll go from there. And then I guess I'll run my NIS Caution Fest Martinsville race on Sunday morning. And so looking forward to running with David and Tom, if Tom's going to run with us. But yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Okay, Brad Wren, final thought.
Glad to get the win in NIS. So again, that was on the bucket list this year. Glad to get it done early. Hopefully, this is kind of the kind of kickoff and can get a few more. They've got to figure out a way just to run a little more often. My I rating is really plummeted. Should probably be up around the 32, 33 mark, and I haven't run enough to get it up there. So that's kind of the goal. But first win since 2016, getting back on the service and grab some IMSA wins in the last year. So that was good. But to win back, NASCAR is my bread and butter. To win back on an oval was good. And to get it at Martinsville. I prefer to have had a few more, green flag runs, and that would have felt a little more rewarding. But hey, it's no different than a fuel win or anything else. You got to be there at the right time to grab the win. So Justin and I are going to skip the mech race this weekend. He's not comfortable in the rain, and it's a really bad start time for East Coast guys. It's 11 p.m. start, 4-hour race, and the thought of being in that miserable weather at 2:00 in the morning, I'm going to pass. So we'll be back in for the next round. But so the Sim Expo is getting real. I bought tickets last week, booked the hotel and all that. So super excited to be able to meet and spend some time with all the guys on the team and on the podcast, and just looking forward to meeting a bunch of listeners, and for the first time being able to see some stuff that we normally don't get to see. I'm hoping to be able to get in a rig that maybe has got motion. I've never been able to do that, so there's stuff there that I'm hoping to be able to take a look at. My wife is probably paranoid and worried to death that I'm gonna end up buying stuff, but
I can't wait to post stuff on Facebook every day.
I know.
Look what Brad's buying. Look what Brad's buying.
I have to fly back, so there won't be much buying there. So, but no, I'm super excited.
You can purchase it and get it shipped. You don't have to bring it back.
So, no, just super excited. It's gonna be a good time. So hopefully we have a very good turnout for this, and this becomes a yearly thing.
All right. Yeah, William Westbrook, final thought.
Yeah, so I had a fantastic time with the Sebring 12 last week, and I'm kind of sad that it's going to be a while for the next one. I don't mess with the Nürburgring really all that much, so I won't be doing that one. I'll try the Indy 500, but no expectations there. So my next real special event is probably going to be the Indy 6, and then I'll do some Cravatics and stuff between that. But it seems like since the first of the year, it's been almost every weekend we've had something to do during the sim, so it's going to be a little weird to get that much of a break.
Is the majors going to do a 24-hour Le Mans again?
Yes, it's the actual season. It's the finale of the mech season, basically.
Okay.
Or the WEC season. Or it's what the mech season is leading into, essentially.
Okay, and my final thought, I'm excited for the Moza pedal. Starting to live with the reality of how in the hell am I going to mount it? I have friends on Discord, Chad McNeese, who's fabulous in helping out. He actually drew up some CAD drawings of the Sim Lab pedal tray with some mods that I might make to make it fit. And thanks, Chad, for doing that. It's actually got me on a different tangent where I'm basically going to take the entire pedal tray and turn it around 180 degrees and then offset the Simpson pedal tray from the SimLab pedal tray as far offset as they can be in the hopes to find those 15 inches that pedal is long. So we'll see how it goes. I decided I'm not going to try to do anything until I get the pedal in my hand. And so kind of waiting for that as well. So also excited for the Sim Gaming Expo. It's kind of real now that it's been announced on socials that iRacers Lounge is going to have a booth. It's going to be a hangout for listeners, guys. That's kind of the idea. We want our listeners to come by, introduce yourselves, and feel welcome. I mean, we're going to try to have maybe some candy to hand out and stickers and different things. So we want everyone to show up. And so book your tickets, use the code, get the 10% off, get your flights, get your room, and we'll see you there. And with that, we'll see you on the track.